On the main street of this ancient Roman city is the remains of a grand house with black mosaic flooring and black painted walls. It had a series of shops built into its facade, with a uniquely well-preserved shop sign, and an extraordinary metalworkers shop with metal ingots still on its countertop. Inside the house, a rare bundle of tablets was found, giving us the story of the life of the occupant. This is James from History Victorum. Join us as we explore the House of the Black Hall in the city of Herculaneum. The House of the Black Hall, also called the House of the Black Room or Black Salon, is located on the eastern side of the excavated part of the city of Herculaneum. Its main doorway opened onto a wide street called the Decumanus Maximus, the largest and most important street in the city. This was prime real estate, and many of the houses on this street were among the largest in the city. Houses like this one often had shops built into the facade to provide additional income to the house. These shops could be owned by the occupant or rented out, and there were 3 shops built into this house. On the corner of the house is probably my favorite Roman shop anywhere, this metalworkers shop or tinker's workshop. A statue was left here at the time of the eruption, waiting for repair, along with a fine candelabra which would have held oil lamps. Both of these have been moved to the Museum of Herculaneum and have been replaced by replicas in this shop. This statue is of the god of wine, Bacchus, holding a leopard skin with a panther at its feet. It was made of bronze and also adorned in places with copper and silver, such as in the eyes. The statue was in the workshop because it needed to be reattached to its base. There was also a fine bronze candelabra with a marble base, which was being worked on at the time. This one was in the shop because it needed one of its arms to be reattached to the center. These items show the quality of workmanship of the shopkeeper and give us some examples of the fine bronze items that were once owned by the people of Herculaneum. Scrap metal and metalworking tools were also found in the workshop, and a crucible was discovered, which is a container for heating metals. On the floor here are weights of various sizes. These may have been used to determine the weight of metal ingots. The 2 lead ingots that were found in the shop were inscribed with their actual weight along with the expected standard weight. On the other side of the entrance to the house were 2 more shops. All of the items of this first shop were removed by early tunnelers, but on the left side of the shop near the entrance to the house, we can still see this uniquely well-preserved shop sign, which seems to transport us back to a time before the eruption. These colored jars represent different types of wine available for sale. The prices are shown in copper coins called asses. Here are some examples of what these coins look like in Roman times. The most expensive wine is this one on the left, which is listed at 4 asses per sextarius, which is a unit of measure around a half liter. The sextarius is represented by this symbol which looks like a crossed S. The next type of wine is priced at 3 asses per sextarius, and this is followed by one costing 4 asses for 1.5 sextarius, which comes out to a bit cheaper than the previous wine, and the cheapest wine is this one on the right, which is just 2 asses per sextarius. Above these is the name of the former shop, and a painted figure with a garland on his head. This is believed to be the Roman god Sancus, who is associated with keeping oaths, which we would imagine would be important for a business person. Another large sign was found here during excavation, showing the name of the town of Nola, which is about 20 miles away from Herculaneum. Based on other signs and graffiti mentioning Nola, this is identified as an advertisement for a gladiatorial contest at the amphitheater of Nola. One rare detail was found in between the last 2 letters L and A. The actual signature of the sign writer was found, who was apparently a professional painter of these types of advertisements. These shops were originally rooms of the house itself, but the doors to the shops were blocked up at some point. Some of the former doors can be seen here from inside the house. This final shop on the right still maintains somewhat of a connection to the house. A well was found which collected water from the house cistern. Not much remains of this final shop, but we can see a display case with some charred rope, and also the remains of beams of the upper story, which has been somewhat reconstructed above the original beams. The ancient Roman shopkeepers at times lived and slept within the shop, and this upper story may be the remains of a small living area. Preserved wood is much more common in Herculaneum than in Pompeii, and some carbonized wooden elements can be seen in these shops, including some shelving and support beams in the doors and windows. These imposing wooden beams here really help us to get an idea of the former grandeur of the wide main entrance to the house. The house itself was an impressive residence. It had a traditional layout of a large Roman house. Visitors entering into the house today pass into the atrium and still walk upon its original flooring, which has some small marble inserts. The marble pool in the center is well preserved. This would collect water for the cistern below, and the water could be accessed using this well here, which is in the shape of a small fluted column. This area is surrounded by various rooms, which were mostly destroyed by the eruption. These rooms included a kitchen, and most notably, this unusually large rectangular room called the tablinum, which is where the owner would normally receive visitors and clients. Some of the flooring remains, with fairly large pieces of expensive marble, and some of the well-crafted architectural decoration is still visible on the walls. Beyond this room was a garden surrounded by a colonnade, which is called the peristyle. The most prestigious rooms of the house were located in this area, including the Great Black Hall. As we can see here, the partially destroyed columns surrounding the garden were made from brick covered with fluted stucco. These columns are interrupted here so that a visitor entering into the house would have a clear view into the garden. This peristyle area has elegant black and white mosaic flooring, which is fairly well preserved today. Like the Black Hall, it also once had black painted walls. Some of the original decoration can still be seen. The upper portion of the walls once had a frieze showing griffins and decorative pots. These two rooms here have large windows with marble sills that face the garden. One of them had access to a small outdoor shrine. The ceilings had a beautifully complex structure to them and are partially vaulted. No one knows why they were designed this way, but it may have made more sense with the furniture that was formerly here. Much of the ceiling decoration is preserved, and on the ceiling here we can just make out the trident of Neptune, or Poseidon, who was originally shown in a chariot pulled by sea horses. The decoration of these two rooms is particularly well made. There are thin lines and miniature figures typical of the third style of Roman wall painting. I was impressed by these miniature swans. But what is notable in these rooms is that we can just see the three-dimensional perspective of the later fourth style, such as in this semicircular metallic-looking structure with perched eagles on top. This style of decoration, blending the third and fourth style, is similar to that of the Great Palace of Rome under Nero, the Domus Aurea. The House of the Black Hall is the earliest house in all of Herculaneum to adopt this style of wall painting. Nearby was the room that gives the house its name, the Great Black Hall, with striking black walls and a black ceiling. The room could be entered via two entrances with marble thresholds. These entrances also helped to give lighting to the room. With its domed ceiling, it reached an impressive height of nearly 19 feet. It was tall enough to have a small window on the south wall, which rose above the height of the house next door. The decoration is more towards the fourth style of Roman wall painting. And here we can see remnants of a multi-story architectural scene with red hanging curtains. Nearby, we can see some incisions in the wall beneath the partially destroyed wall painting. Before the wall was painted, incisions were normally made into the plaster to help guide the artist, much of which survive here. And we can imagine what this would have looked like when it was fully painted. In this hall, a wooden shrine was found in the shape of a small temple, and it is now on display in a nearby museum that has recently opened. The upper story of this house could be accessed from a staircase near this side door. In one of the rooms on the upper floor, a bundle of 39 tablets was found on a red painted shelf. This was larger than any bundle of tablets found in Pompeii. These were important documents for the family of the house. We know from these tablets that the occupant was a freedman or former slave named L. Venedius Ennicus, and the tablets describe various events in his life, including business transactions and the birth of his daughter. Perhaps the most important of these tablets is this one, which shows that he and his family had become Roman citizens. According to Roman law at the time, the family became eligible after his daughter reached 1 year old. Before finding these tablets, the exact process of granting citizenship in a town like this was not known. From the tablets, we know that there was a meeting of the local officials in the city, and also a delegation sent to Rome. The tablets record that the decision to grant citizenship was confirmed in Rome, here in the Forum of Augustus. Other tablets have records of loans and business transactions, and in one of them it was recorded that Ennicus also was able to join a religious order called the Augustales. It's possible that Ennicus had owned this entire property or only occupied the upstairs portion. There's no record of skeletons found in the house, and it is not known what happened to the family or why the records were left here at the time of the eruption. But the tablets tell us an important story of a former slave that had been freed and become a successful businessman, eventually became a Roman citizen with his family, and lived in this large and prestigious Roman house. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have anything else to add, let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.